Hello, welcome back to the countdown to the International Vulture Awareness Day. This is day 4. So this means today's Thursday, we have tomorrow, and then it is the day. So I wanted to jump on here real quick. This is going to be a short video. If you notice, Vinnie's not included in the video. It's not because he's not adorable, but he did spend most of the morning having a tantrum, and he finally calmed down, so I didn't want to disturb him. So I did catch a really cute video of him playing with his green ball and doing some other little things, so I'll tack that on to the end of this video for you to enjoy his extreme cuteness. So, however, I wanted to talk about in this video today, what is the big deal? Why are we so focused on vultures? Why are they so cool? Why do we care about them? Why should anybody care about them? So I want to tell you a quick story about how interconnected this ecosystem of ours is, or the planet. And say about 20 years ago in India, they noticed that leopards were coming into the villages and wreaking havoc, such as attacking the children and things like that. And they couldn't understand why there was an increase in these events. These were happening is because there were more feral dogs. And the reason why there were more feral dogs is because there was an abundance of carcasses from dead cows. Now, in India, they worship their cows, so that their cows die of old age and of natural causes. So, as we sometimes know, at least I know, when you get older, you get kind of creaky, and when you get a little creaky, you get a little sore. So what they did is they gave these aging cows, to make them more comfortable, a drug called diclofenac. And it is a veterinary drug, but it's also a human drug because I actually take it. So, but not because I'm old and creaky, just because I'm creaky. Anyway, so they were giving the cows the diclofenac to make them more comfortable at their, later ages. And then they would go off and they would die. And the carcasses would be laced with the drug diclofenac. Well, the vultures were coming in and doing what they do, and they would eat the carcasses laced with the diclofenac, and then they would go off and they would die a horrible, agonizing death from kidney failure. So that's how they figured out that they had a real vulture crisis on their hands. And this wasn't until there was only about 1% of the vulture populations left. So they kind of left it to the last minute. So they almost lost their entire vulture population in Asia. Now, but what they have done is they've swooped in. They did ban the drug diclofenac used for veterinary animals. I believe it was in 2006. A great organization called the International Center for Birds of Prey came, and along with a lot of other organizations, but their part in it was to create a captive breeding program. So that way they can reintroduce vultures back into the population. Exactly what we did with the peregrine falcon, and what we're doing here in the United States with the California condor. So in 1988, there were only 22 individuals left. They scooped them all up out of the wild. So in 1988, or maybe it was 1986. Anyway, the late 1980s, they scooped up all 22 California condor. So the California condor did become extinct in the wild. They started a captive breeding program, and as you know, they now release the new generation of California condors. So now we have approximately 500 individuals out in the wild. So that's pretty good recovery, although it is slow. There's also an African vulture crisis, but it's for different reasons, and it's almost entirely human-driven, if not all the way human-driven. It's a lot of intentional poisonings, a lot of intentional killing, shooting, poaching, and it's for various reasons. There's kind of like a black market thing going on, like you know about with the rhino horns, and is they believe that if you eat, because vultures are so smart, they believe that if you eat vulture brains, that you can foresee things, like foresee the future or just be smarter. Not quite sure what the real wives' tale is, but it anyway, it's causing vultures in Africa a lot of problems. And this conservation issue will probably be a little bit more difficult to solve because it's more nefarious in nature, where, banning a veterinary drug is probably a little bit simpler. So that is what I wanted to talk about. I didn't want to go over a bunch of vulture facts that, Google University can address for you. So if you have any vulture facts that you want to know about, you can certainly just Google it. But I did want to tell you that story of why vultures are so cool and why we even care and why we're making such a big deal out of it. And that's a real life story of how easy and under the table we can lose a species. Now, the California condor is slowly coming back, and turkey vultures and black vultures in the United States are doing all right, but that can change. So we want them to stay doing all right. So that's where education and personal behavior responsibility comes into play. So that's why weeks or even a day like International Vulture Awareness Day comes into play, and why it's so important. And that's true with all species, but this just happens to be that we're talking about the vultures. So I did want to end with a really cute little video of Vinnie doing some cute things. But while he was throwing his temper tantrum, I thought, maybe I can see if I can entertain him or distract him with his new puzzle. Because, as you know, they are quite smart. So I did get him a puzzle, and then I introduced him to this puzzle. And so I put some treats in here, and I showed them and showed that, you just pick them up. And then he didn't really seem to care. I mean, he paid attention, but, he wasn't like super duper interested. But he did watch, but he was kind of upset. So I'm hoping that he will be able to do this puzzle and show off how smart he is when he gets a little bit better. So it was 4 weeks today that I went and scooped him up. Tuesday, he does go in for surgery. So that's where he stands. He's at the tail end of, crate rest, which is absolute torture for him at this point, I'm sure. And we are going to go live, or try to go live, on Saturday at 5 o'clock Arizona time. So if you live on the East Coast, that's 8 p.m. And I say try because you can see back here we are a little rural, and there is no fiber optic internet. So you have to use satellite, and we ordered the new fancy Elon Musk designed satellite for internet. So it hasn't arrived. Apparently it takes a while to make or whatever. But anyway, so I use my hotspot, and sometimes it's okay and sometimes it's not. So I don't know what it will be like on Saturday, but we will find out. So that's the time to see Vinnie live. That's the time to ask me whatever you would like about Vinnie, about vulture facts, anything that you've learned or heard about through this week from me, or even all the other organizations that are celebrating. That will be the time that you can ask. So Saturday, 5 o'clock, and I'm going to try to do it on Instagram. I've never gone live on Instagram. I've done it on Facebook, but I'm going to try Instagram, so we'll see how that goes as well. And I hope to see you there, and I will see you tomorrow with something else I make up about vultures.